The late afternoon sun cast long shadows across the manicured lawn of our suburban home, a stark contrast to the storm brewing inside me. My meticulously organized world, built on spreadsheets and balanced budgets, was teetering on the brink of collapse. For months, the weight of unexplained expenses had been crushing me. Bills piled higher than ever, threatening to swallow our comfortable life whole. My wife, Sarah, or rather June, as I was soon to learn her real name, a woman I thought I knew intimately after 20 years of marriage, was the source of my growing unease. She offered vague explanations, a nervous laugh, a shrug, of her shoulders that did little to quell the rising tide of suspicion. I, Harlan Taggart, a man who found solace in the precise order of numbers, was drowning in a sea of unanswered questions. My profession, accounting, had instilled in me a deep-seated need for clarity. Every penny accounted for, every transaction meticulously documented. This chaotic financial situation was an affront to my very being. The mounting debt felt like a physical presence, a suffocating weight on my chest. I'd spent sleepless nights poring over bank statements, searching for the culprit, the gaping hole in our finances. The suspicion, a cold, unwelcome guest, had taken up residence in my mind, casting a pall over our once harmonious life. Sarah, usually so cheerful and vibrant, seemed distant, withdrawn, her eyes holding a haunted look that chilled me to the bone. The final straw came during a routine cleaning of our bedroom. I was clearing out a drawer, intending to donate some old clothes, when my fingers brushed against something hard, metallic, and strangely out of place. It was a small steel safe, expertly concealed beneath a pile of neatly folded sweaters. My heart pounded in my chest, a frantic drumbeat against the silence of the room. This wasn't just some unexpected expense. This was a deliberate act of concealment, a secret kept from me, her husband, her supposed confidant. The implications were staggering. Was she involved in something illegal? Was this the source of the mysterious debt that had been driving me mad? My trembling hands worked the combination lock, a sequence of numbers that felt both alien and intimately familiar. With a satisfying click, the safe sprang open, revealing its contents, neatly stacked bundles of $100 bills, amounting to a staggering $500,000. The sheer volume of cash was breathtaking, a stark contrast to the financial anxieties that had been consuming me. Instead of relief, a chilling dread washed over me. This wasn't the solution to my problems. It was the beginning of a far greater mystery. The money wasn't the answer. It was the question. Who was this woman I thought I knew? And what dark secret did she hold? The idyllic suburban setting of our home, once a haven of peace and quiet, now felt like a gilded cage, trapping me in a web of deceit and fear. Before we continue, don't forget to like this audio and subscribe to the channel by clicking the icon in the bottom right corner of your screen, and tell me in the comments, where are you listening from and what are you doing while listening? I love knowing who I'm sharing this moment with. Now let's continue with the story. The next few days were a blur of frantic activity. I tried to reconcile the image of my seemingly ordinary wife with the reality of the $500,000 hidden in her dresser. Sarah, or June as I now suspected, offered no explanation, only that haunted look in her eyes, a look that spoke volumes of unspoken fear and a past she desperately wanted to keep buried. I tried to approach her rationally, to ask questions, but each attempt was met with a wall of silence, a stony refusal to engage. The comfortable routine of our lives shattered, replaced by a gnawing uncertainty that threatened to consume me. My attempts to discreetly investigate her past proved fruitless. Her official records were spotless, a model citizen, a devoted wife and mother. But the money, the safe, the haunted look in her eyes, these were undeniable pieces of a puzzle I couldn't solve. My rational mind, accustomed to order and predictability, struggled to make sense of the chaos. I started to suspect she was involved in something far more dangerous than simple debt concealment. The friendly faces of our neighbors, once symbols of our peaceful suburban existence, now seemed suspicious, their smiles masking hidden knowledge. Driven by a desperate need for answers, I reached out to Elsie, a childhood friend of Sarah's, a woman who knew her before our marriage. Elsie, initially hesitant, eventually agreed to meet, her eyes betraying a mixture of apprehension and sorrow. She confirmed my suspicions. Sarah, or June, had a past, a shadowy past she'd kept meticulously hidden. She spoke of a life before, me a life filled with danger and deception, a life that involved a woman named Vera, a name that sent a shiver down my spine. Vera, Elsie explained, was a figure from June's past, a woman involved in some sort of illicit operation. She was ruthless, dangerous, and possessed a network of contacts that stretched across state lines. Elsie's words painted a portrait of June as a skilled operative, someone who had managed to escape her past and build a seemingly normal life. But the $500,000 suggested that her past wasn't as far behind her as she'd led me to believe. It was a lifeline, a nest egg for a potential escape, a war chest for a future confrontation. Armed with this new information, I felt a surge of adrenaline, a mixture of fear and determination. I needed to find Vera, to understand the nature of June's past, and to ensure the safety of my family. The comfortable suburban facade of my life was gone, replaced by a gritty, dangerous reality. I, Harlan Taggart, the meticulous accountant, was now embroiled in a high-stakes game of cat and mouse, a game where the stakes were far higher than money. It was a game for my life and perhaps the life of my wife. My investigation led me to a dusty, forgotten corner of the city, a place where shadows lingered and secrets whispered on the wind. I found Vera, not in a glamorous hideout, but in a dilapidated bar, nursing a drink and watching the world go by with a cold, calculating gaze. She was older than I expected, her face etched with the lines of a hard life, her eyes holding the same chilling intensity I had seen in June's. The confrontation was tense, fraught with unspoken threats and veiled accusations. Vera didn't deny her involvement in June's past. She confirmed Elsie's account, adding details that painted a more complete and terrifying picture. June, she explained, had been a key player in a sophisticated smuggling operation, handling finances and logistics with remarkable skill. The $500,000 wasn't from a single deal. It was a carefully accumulated sum, a safety net for a life on the run. But June, Vera revealed, had grown weary of the life, tired of the constant fear and danger. She had faked her death, assumed a new identity, and started a new life with me, hoping to leave her past behind. The $500,000 wasn't a sign of guilt or criminal activity. It was a safeguard, a last resort if her past ever caught up to her. Vera's explanation, while shocking, offered a glimmer of understanding. It explained the haunted look in June's eyes, the inexplicable expenses, the hidden safe. It didn't excuse her deception, but it provided a context, a reason for her actions. But there was a twist. Someone from her past had found her, someone who wanted the money and perhaps something more. The final confrontation took place in our own home, a chilling reversal of roles. It wasn't June who was in danger, but me, and perhaps her. A figure. From her past, a ruthless associate named Rex had tracked her down, demanding his share of the profits. The fight was brutal, a desperate struggle for survival. I, the accountant, found myself using skills I never knew I possessed, fighting for my life and the life of the woman I loved, the woman I thought I knew, but who was far more complex and fascinating than I could have ever imagined. In the aftermath, with Rex apprehended and the immediate danger neutralized, I was left to grapple with the implications of what I had discovered. June, or Sarah, was no longer just my wife. She was a survivor, a woman who had escaped a dangerous life and built a new one with me. Our marriage was built on a foundation of lies, but beneath the deceit there was a love, a bond that had weathered the storm. The $500,000, a symbol of her past, was now a symbol of our future, a testament to her strength and resilience. We decided to use the money to start anew, to leave the past behind and build a life together, a life built on trust, honesty, and the unwavering bond that had survived the greatest test of all. The meticulously organized world I had once known was gone, replaced by a life that was messy, unpredictable, and infinitely more fulfilling. The suburban dream had become a reality, but it was a reality forged in the fires of a past that could never be truly erased. but could be understood and ultimately overcome. The decision to leave wasn't easy. Our suburban haven, once a symbol of stability, now felt tainted, a constant reminder of the deception and danger we'd faced. Selling the house was a bittersweet experience, a severing of ties with a past we couldn't ignore, but also a necessary step towards building a future free from the shadows of June's past. The money, though a source of anxiety initially, now felt like a lifeline, a chance to create a new identity, a new beginning. We chose a small coastal town, far removed from the city, a place where we could blend in, where our past wouldn't follow us. The transition wasn't seamless. June, despite her outward strength, carried the weight of her past like a heavy cloak. Sleepless nights were frequent, punctuated by sudden awakenings and whispered fears. The trust we were building was fragile, a delicate seedling that needed constant nurturing. My own anxieties lingered. The methodical accountant in me still struggled to reconcile the chaos of our lives with the order I craved. The fear of Rex's associates, or even Vera's potential involvement, loomed large, a constant unspoken threat. The idyllic image of our new life was frequently shattered by these intrusions of fear. A sudden noise, a stranger's gaze, could trigger a wave of panic, a reminder of the life June had escaped. We sought therapy, a way to process the trauma and rebuild our relationship on a foundation of honesty and understanding. It was a slow, arduous process, filled with tears, confessions, and the painstaking work of rebuilding trust. The $500,000, while providing financial security, also represented a constant reminder of the dangerous path we had left, behind a path that could at any moment lead back to us. The weight of that knowledge hung heavy in the air, a silent companion to our new life. One evening, while walking along the beach, a familiar black sedan pulled up beside us. My heart leaped into my throat. The driver, a man whose face I didn't recognize but whose eyes held the same chilling intensity as Vera's, simply stared at June. He didn't speak, didn't gesture, just sat there, a silent, menacing presence. Then, as quickly as he appeared, he was gone, leaving us trembling in the fading light. That night, sleep evaded us both. The unspoken fear hung heavy in the air, a palpable tension that threatened to unravel the fragile peace we had managed to create. The incident served as a stark reminder that our past wasn't truly behind us. The escape, the new identity, the new life, it was all a fragile illusion, easily shattered by a single chilling encounter. We intensified our efforts to remain anonymous, to erase any trace of our former lives. We changed our routines, avoided public places, and lived in a constant state of heightened awareness. The sense of paranoia became a constant companion, a shadow that clung to us, even in the quiet moments of intimacy. The weight of our secret, the knowledge of the $500,000, the fear of discovery, and the ever-present threat of Rex's associates all contributed to a growing sense of isolation. We were trapped in a precarious balance, constantly looking over our shoulders, forever on the run, even though we were miles away from our old lives. The idyllic coastal town, once a beacon of hope, now felt like a gilded cage, a beautiful prison where our freedom was an illusion, constantly threatened by the ghosts of our past. The future, once so bright, was now shrouded in uncertainty, a path fraught with danger and the ever-present fear of being discovered. Then came the anonymous letter, a single sheet of paper slipped under our door in the dead of night, containing a single chilling sentence: "We know where you are." The simplicity of the threat was terrifying, a stark reminder that our anonymity was a fragile shield, easily pierced. The casual cruelty of the message, the cold certainty of their knowledge, sent a wave of icy dread through me. June, already fragile, retreated further into herself, her eyes haunted by a fear I'd never seen before. The letter shattered the fragile peace we'd managed to construct. Our carefully crafted routines crumbled, replaced by a constant, gnawing anxiety. The $500,000, once a symbol of hope, now felt like a curse, a beacon attracting unwanted attention. Sleep became a luxury, replaced by restless nights, filled with whispered fears and the chilling certainty that we were being watched, hunted. The idyllic coastal town, once a refuge, now felt like a trap, a beautiful prison where our every move was scrutinized, our every breath monitored. Our therapist, a kind, understanding woman, urged us to consider leaving again, to disappear completely. But where could we go? How could we escape the long shadow of June's past? The weight of our secret, the constant fear, the ever-present threat, it was a burden too heavy to bear. We were trapped in a cycle of fear, a relentless chase with an unseen enemy, a game where the stakes were our lives, our future, and the fragile peace we had fought so hard to achieve. The future, once a canvas of hope, was now a dark, ominous landscape, filled with uncertainty and the chilling certainty that our past was not so easily left behind. Desperate, we sought help from a private investigator, a grizzled veteran named Jack, recommended by Elsie. Jack, a man who understood the shadows, listened patiently to our story, his eyes betraying a grim understanding of the danger we faced. He confirmed our fears. Rex's network was vast. His reach extended far beyond our expectations. He wasn't just after the money. He wanted revenge, a reckoning for June's betrayal. The $500,000 was merely a means to an end, a tool, to leverage his power and inflict pain. Jack's investigation revealed a disturbing truth. Vera, far from being a neutral party, was secretly working with Rex, feeding him information, manipulating events from the shadows. Her seemingly helpful advice to June had been a calculated move, a way to keep track of her former associate, to ensure her eventual capture. The betrayal stung, a fresh wound on top of the old ones. June's trust in Elsie, and by extension, in me, had been shaken to its core. The weight of this new betrayal, coupled with the constant threat of Rex's pursuit, pushed June to the brink. Her carefully constructed facade of strength crumbled, revealing the deep-seated trauma and fear that had been simmering beneath the surface. She became withdrawn, haunted by nightmares, her once vibrant spirit dimmed by the relentless pressure. The idyllic coastal town, our sanctuary, had become a prison, a constant reminder of our precarious situation, our desperate fight for survival against an enemy who seemed to be always one step ahead. The future, once a glimmer of hope, was now a terrifying abyss, a dark unknown filled with the chilling certainty of imminent danger. Jack proposed a daring plan, a preemptive strike. We would use the remaining money not to escape, but to fight back. We would leverage the $500,000 not as a means of survival, but as a weapon. We would use it to lure Rex into a trap, to expose his network and bring him down before he could reach us. It was a high-stakes gamble, a desperate attempt to reclaim our lives from the clutches of our past. The risk was immense, the potential for failure devastating, but it was our only chance. The plan involved a complex web of deception, a carefully orchestrated game of cat and mouse. We would leak information, subtly hinting at our location, while simultaneously setting up a sting operation, a trap designed to ensnare Rex and his associates. It was a dangerous dance, a delicate balancing act between revealing just enough to lure them in, while remaining hidden just enough to ensure our safety. The pressure was immense, the stakes impossibly high. Every decision, every move was fraught with peril. The days that followed were a blur of frantic activity. We worked tirelessly, coordinating with Jack, meticulously planning every detail, every contingency. June, despite her fear, displayed a surprising resilience, a steely determination born from desperation. Her past life, the life she had so desperately tried to escape, had unexpectedly become her greatest weapon. Her knowledge of the underworld, her understanding of Rex's methods, her ability to think like her former associates, these skills, once a source of fear and shame, were now essential to our survival. The weight of the plan, the burden of our past, rested heavily on our shoulders, but we were united, driven by a desperate hope for a future free from fear. The day of the confrontation arrived like a thunderclap, shattering the fragile calm we'd managed to maintain. The tension was palpable, a suffocating weight in the air. We were holed up in a secluded cabin, a temporary haven, waiting for Rex to take the bait. Jack and his team were positioned strategically, ready to move in the moment Rex made his move. June, armed with a small pistol, her eyes blazing with a fierce determination, stood beside me, a stark contrast to the frightened woman she had been just weeks ago. The wait was agonizing, each tick of the clock echoing in the oppressive silence. Then the headlights appeared, cutting through the darkness, illuminating the dusty road. A black SUV, the same model as the one that had passed us on the beach, slowly approached the cabin. My heart pounded in my chest, a frantic drumbeat against the silence. This was it. The moment of truth. The culmination of weeks of planning, weeks of fear, weeks of living on the edge. Rex emerged from the vehicle, his face a mask of cold fury. He was alone, a calculated risk, a sign of his overconfidence. He approached the cabin cautiously, his eyes scanning the surroundings, his hand resting on the weapon concealed beneath his jacket. This was our chance. The signal was given, and Jack's team moved swiftly, silently, efficiently. The confrontation was swift, brutal, and surprisingly bloodless. Rex, caught completely off guard, was apprehended without a fight. His reign of terror finally brought to an end. The victory, however, was bittersweet, a hard-won triumph tinged with the lingering shadow of our past. With Rex in custody, the immediate danger was neutralized, but the aftermath was far from peaceful. The investigation that followed was exhaustive, uncovering a complex web of deceit and corruption that extended far beyond our initial understanding. Vera's involvement was confirmed, her betrayal a bitter pill to swallow. Elsie, though initially unaware of Vera's treachery, felt the weight of her friend's actions, her guilt palpable. The $500,000, the source of so much anxiety and fear, was seized as evidence, a stark reminder of the dangerous life June had left behind. The legal proceedings were long and arduous, a slow, agonizing process that kept us tethered to the past. June, despite the relief of Rex's capture, remained haunted by her past, the memories of violence and betrayal clinging to her like a shroud. The trauma she had endured, the years spent living in fear, had left deep scars, wounds that would take time to heal. Therapy became a lifeline, a safe space where she could confront her demons and begin the long process of recovery. My own anxieties lingered, the methodical accountant in me still struggling to reconcile the chaos of our lives with the order I craved. The meticulously planned life I had once envisioned was shattered, replaced by a reality that was messy, unpredictable, and far more complex than I could have ever imagined. Yet, amidst the chaos, amidst the lingering fear and uncertainty, there was a newfound strength, a resilience born from shared trauma and the unwavering bond we had forged in the crucible of our ordeal. The future remained uncertain, but for the first time in a long time we faced it together, hand in hand, ready to confront whatever challenges lay ahead. The legal battles dragged on, a relentless drain on our emotional and mental resources. The prosecution, however, was relentless, determined to dismantle Rex's entire operation, and in doing so, they unearthed a far larger conspiracy than we had ever imagined. The smuggling ring, it turned out, was just the tip of the iceberg, a small part of a far more extensive network of corruption involving powerful figures within the city. The implications were staggering, threatening to shake the foundations of our seemingly peaceful suburban existence. The media frenzy that followed was overwhelming. Our story, once a private nightmare, became public knowledge splashed across newspapers and television screens. Our anonymity was shattered, our carefully constructed new life torn apart. The public fascination with our story, however, was a double-edged sword. While it brought unwanted attention, it also brought a wave of support, a groundswell of sympathy for the couple who had escaped a life of danger and deceit. The unexpected outpouring of public support was a lifeline, a source of strength during a time of immense vulnerability. We received countless messages of encouragement, offers of help, and expressions of solidarity. The community rallied around us, offering a sense of belonging and acceptance that we had desperately craved. The support, both tangible and emotional, helped us navigate the difficult legal battles and begin the long, arduous process of rebuilding our lives, this time not in secrecy, but in the open, with the unwavering support of those who believed in our story. The future, once shrouded in uncertainty, was beginning to take shape, albeit a shape far different from the one we had originally envisioned. The trial was a spectacle, a media circus that captivated the nation. June, surprisingly, chose to testify, her testimony a powerful account of survival, resilience, and the enduring strength of the human spirit. Her story, raw and unflinching, resonated with the public, captivating audiences and garnering widespread sympathy. Her vulnerability, once a source of shame and fear, became her greatest strength, a testament to her courage and determination. Her testimony, however, also exposed the dark underbelly of the city, revealing a network of corruption that reached the highest echelons of power. The fallout was swift and decisive. Several high-profile officials were implicated, their careers ruined, their reputations tarnished. The city, once a symbol of order and stability, was shaken to its core, its foundations exposed as fragile and corrupt. The investigation continued, its tentacles reaching into every corner of the city's power structure, uncovering a web of deceit and conspiracy that had operated for decades. The media frenzy intensified, transforming our story from a personal struggle into a national scandal. Despite the chaos and the public scrutiny, June and I found solace in each other, our bond strengthened by the shared ordeal. The $500,000, initially a source of fear and anxiety, was eventually returned to us, a symbol of our resilience and a testament to our perseverance. We decided to donate a significant portion of it to a charity supporting victims of domestic violence and human trafficking, a way to give back to the community that had supported us and to help others escape the shadows of their past. The future, once uncertain, was now filled with a sense of purpose, a renewed commitment to building a life not just for ourselves, but for others. Life after the trial was a slow, deliberate process of rebuilding. The media attention eventually subsided, the public's fascination replaced by a quiet respect for our resilience. We moved again, this time to a small, quiet town far from the city, a place where we could begin to heal and rebuild our lives in peace. The scars of our past remained, but they were no longer wounds that bled constantly. They were reminders of our strength, our ability to overcome adversity. June found a new sense of purpose, dedicating herself to advocacy work, using her experiences to help others escape the clutches of violence and exploitation. Her story, once a source of shame and fear, became a beacon of hope, inspiring countless others to find the courage to break free from their own abusive situations. She found a voice, a platform to share her story and to fight for justice, transforming her past trauma into a force for good. For me, the meticulously ordered world I had once known was gone forever, replaced by a life that was messy, unpredictable, and yet infinitely more fulfilling. The chaos and uncertainty of our ordeal had stripped away the superficiality of my previous existence, revealing a deeper appreciation for the simple things in life, the importance of human connection, and the unwavering strength of love in the face of adversity. The future, once a source of fear and anxiety, was now a canvas of possibilities, a path we would walk together hand in hand, forever bound by the shared experience that had transformed our lives forever. We found a small, cozy house overlooking a tranquil lake, a far cry from the manicured lawns and sterile perfection of our suburban past. The house, though modest, was filled with warmth and laughter, a haven of peace where we could rebuild our lives, free from the shadows of our past. The meticulously organized world I had once craved was gone, replaced by a life that was messy, unpredictable, and yet profoundly satisfying. The chaos and uncertainty of our ordeal had stripped away the superficiality, revealing a deeper appreciation for the simple things: sunrises over the lake, the smell of freshly baked bread, the quiet comfort of shared silence. June's advocacy work flourished. She became a voice for the voiceless, a champion for the vulnerable, using her platform to raise awareness and to fight for justice. Her story, once a source of shame and fear, became a source of strength and inspiration, a testament to the resilience of the human spirit. She found purpose, healing, and a sense of belonging in her work, transforming her past trauma into a force for positive change. Our relationship, forged in the crucible of adversity, emerged stronger and deeper than ever before. The foundation of our marriage, once built on lies and deception, was now cemented by shared experience, mutual respect and unwavering love. We had faced the darkness together and emerged into the light, forever bound by the shared journey that had transformed our lives, revealing the depth of our love and the enduring power of the human spirit to overcome even the darkest of challenges. The future, once uncertain, was now bright, filled with hope, purpose, and the unwavering promise of a life lived authentically together. Years passed. The scars of our past remained, faint etchings on the landscape of our lives, but they were no longer gaping wounds. They were reminders of our strength, our resilience, the depth of our love. June's advocacy work continued to flourish, her voice growing stronger, her impact more profound. She became a symbol of hope and inspiration to countless others who had suffered in silence. Her story, once a secret hidden in a safe, was now a testament to the power of truth, resilience, and the unwavering strength of the human spirit. My own life underwent a transformation. The meticulous accountant in me found a new purpose, using my skills to help others navigate the complexities of the financial world, ensuring that others wouldn't fall prey to the same kind of exploitation that June had faced. The order and precision I once sought in numbers now found expression in a life dedicated to helping others, to building a more just and equitable world. We built a life together, a life grounded in honesty, trust, and unwavering love. Our home, overlooking the tranquil lake, was filled with warmth, laughter, and the quiet comfort of shared moments. The $500,000, once a symbol of fear and uncertainty, was now a source of empowerment, a tool to create positive change in the Kai world. We had faced the darkness together and emerged into the light, stronger, wiser, and more deeply in love than ever before. The future, once uncertain, was now a bright canvas, filled with the promise of a life lived authentically, together, forever bound by the shared journey that had transformed us, forever changed, forever grateful. One crisp autumn evening, as the sun dipped below the horizon, painting the sky in hues of orange and gold, we sat on our porch, watching the lake ripple gently under the soft breeze. June leaned against me, her hand resting lightly on mine. The silence between us was comfortable, filled with the unspoken understanding that had grown between us over the years. It was a silence born not of fear or uncertainty, but of shared experience, mutual respect, and a deep, abiding love. We spoke little, our conversation a gentle murmur against the backdrop of the rustling leaves and the lapping waves. We talked about the future, about our dreams, about the life we had built together, a life forged in the fires of adversity, a life that was stronger, more resilient, and infinitely more meaningful because of the challenges we had overcome. The past, though ever present, no longer held us captive. It was a part of our story, a chapter that had shaped us, but it no longer defined us. We were survivors, not victims. We had faced the darkness together, emerged into the light, and built a life that was a testament to the enduring power of love, resilience, and the unwavering strength of the human spirit. The $500,000, once a symbol of fear and deception, was now a distant memory, a relic of a past that had been conquered, a past that had ultimately strengthened the bond between us, forging a love that was stronger, deeper, and more enduring than anything we could have ever imagined. The future stretched before us, a bright and hopeful canvas, ready to be painted with the vibrant colors of our shared life. A life lived authentically, together, forever, was now bright, filled with hope, purpose, and the unwavering promise of a life lived authentically, together.